And with that, the 2023 season comes to an end. Good night.
And with that, we want to welcome everyone to the 2024 edition of Talking with Cuz. Not Carl's Corner tonight. Finally drug out my my cousin,
long lost cousin.
We started. Yes, brother from another mother, blah blah blah, and all that stuff. But we were actually supposed to have this continuing piece back in August, and we went to Las Vegas, had a really good time, but the ending was not too good because I happened to get sick. Actually, I have to be honest with you. So, but Cuz, welcome back. How you doing? I know you had a nice little move there, and congratulations on the move. And 24 is going to be the year.
About 60 degrees warmer where you are than we are. Actually, today wasn't bad, but for the last week, you've had 20 degrees and just bitter cold. So not bad right now.
Actually, on my computer here, it's saying 51 degrees here, and it's been relatively cool. It's been raining up until yesterday. So it's the weather's been kind of, but January is kind of the rainy season here in California and cool. So, but it hasn't been too bad. So what's been going on with you? I know I don't know. Where do you want to go? You want to go to the Philly sports? What's going on with the Eagles? The one thing I did forget not to put up the prompt out here with Dave Lombardi, with the Eagles not be able to tackle, and all that. So where do you want to start, buddy?
If you want to start with the Eagles, I mean, it's a post-mortem, and around here, people are saying it's the worst. It's a worse collapse than the 64 Phillies. Now, I don't know about that, but when you're 10-1 and then you go 1-6, they're still trying to sort it all out. Sirianni is going to be back, but they've gotten rid of the defensive coordinator. They got rid of Matt Patricia, the consultant, and it appears the offensive coordinator will probably go, but the Eagles have not fired him yet because this guy's interviewing for jobs, and it's better to be employed looking for a job than being unemployed. So it looks like they're going to clean house, and it looks like for next year, Sirianni will be on a short leash because there's just a lot of unanswered questions as to what happened. Did the players mutiny? I don't know, and nobody seems to know. Now I'll say this: they had this afternoon a press conference. Sirianni and Howie Roseman. I didn't get a chance to watch it yet, so they probably don't tell you much, but we'll see what happens.
Well, I am doing some other little stuff in the background, but they did get rid of Patricia, the defensive coordinator. I didn't hear anything about that.
But Patricia was a consultant, but his contract ran out. He only had a 1-year deal, so he's not being renewed. But Desai, the defensive coordinator, he was demoted halfway through the season, and you knew this was going to happen. They fired him.
Understood. But, yeah, it's watching the playoffs and actually how Mahomes has really been such an absolutely amazing player that seeing his background and how he was with Texas. And actually, I have Netflix now. They have this documentary about quarterbacks, and it was from the last year. And they have him, they have Marcus Mariota, and they have Cousins from Minnesota, and following them throughout the season. Mahomes doesn't look like that big of a guy, but my God, he's an absolute magician out there. But he played baseball because I didn't realize his dad was really a pretty darn decent baseball player and turned out to be one of the best football quarterbacks of the present era. Now that Brady's gone.
He has a knack for getting out of trouble, and when he has to release the ball fast, he can do these. You'll see these sidearm tosses, and you go, "What the hell is that?" But he throws it on a bullet in stride with the receivers. So after a while, you say he's just a special talent, and I can't badmouth him. After this Super Bowl that he won, he's on all these commercials with Travis Kelce, and you go, come on, really? But here you go. They went to Buffalo last week in bad weather, and they won. So now will they go into Baltimore and win? I don't know, but wouldn't put it past them. They're winners. And Andy knows how to scheme.
I know. And if anybody that they would have lost to would be Andy. Now he's gone to, actually, they went to 3 Super Bowls in 5 years? They lost the one to Tampa, but they beat San Francisco and they beat the Eagles last year. So I was saying this whole mantra.
Kansas City has been to the AFC Championships the last 6 years. Not bad.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I know. It's
team.
been crazy.
It's all about how you're playing at the end of the year. Eagles were playing great early. They figured out ways to win. In the end, all of a sudden, they got kicked, and they just folded like a cheap tent. So, and that's it. Not a problem.
I wanted to.
Everybody grab it out there. Nobody touch it. Just grab it, everybody.
Well, that almost sounds like
that was my mantra the last half of the season. Him, because that's the one thing. There was nobody with any passion. Nobody screaming on the sideline. Him screaming and hollering at everybody. But it's just like we come from a different era, buddy, and it's just like where's the passion at? There was none.
Well, I don't think you got to see it, but the Eagles game against Arizona, the next to last game of the season, with about 5 minutes left, the Eagles were driving at a horrible drive, and all of a sudden they show you a female fan, Eagles fan, saying, "What the hell are you doing?" That's where they had 2 running plays where quarterback draws and then a 2-yard pass, and it's kind of like Lombardi. What the hell's going on here? It's a mystery what just happened to the Eagles, and now you're stuck watching 2 more weeks of football without the Eagles, and then it's going to be free agency, the draft, and now everybody wants to says Harry Roseman sucks and Jeff Floyd is horrible. And 8 weeks ago they were, they could do nothing wrong.
They were gods. I know it's the fickle Philadelphia fans. And actually, I'm going to go on little rants here because we're doing social media now, and you see everything for basketball and different sports and who's the GOAT, who's the greatest. And I just get on there, and people kind of forget now that Embiid the other night did 60, 70. But some people didn't realize Chamberlain did 100. That's how they don't know that was with the Warriors, not the 76ers, But, and I'll always say these two are still the greatest of all time, and we actually watched that live at the good old Spectrum before the third level, before 72. That's such a beautiful picture, how clean and pristine it was. I think that's the first or second year there.
Look at the sneakers. Wilt has white Chucks, high top. Those were the most, back then every sneaker was cheaply made, but look at that. And then I think the Celtics, I used to hate them, still do. But back then they used to have before this, they had the low black Chucks. But great players.
But I look at
all 4 guys there, Hall of Fame, Greer and Havlicek with Russell and Chamberlain, all Hall of Famers.
And look who's all the way down by the other basket. Isn't that Luke Jackson?
Luke Jackson?
Yeah. And I look, me, I'm a stadium and arena guy. Look at how clean the beam is. Because at the end, that beam was never clean. It had so much soot and grime on it, from, for almost 40 years of all the events on there. But look how pristine that building was, that I still miss it, just like we used to miss our old Connie Mack Stadium.
Isn't
So,
that where they started hanging
so
banners too eventually?
yeah, well, off of that
Yeah,
from the yeah, that there really wasn't even any banners until
exactly.
these
By the
guys.
flag. Up there's Dornhofer.
How did
You
you?
gotta put Dornhofer's goal against the Islanders, game 7.
Well, actually, I could say everything was other people's pictures. This is my picture as a photographer. This was game 7 of the Islanders Flyers playoff in '75.
Yep.
Yeah, it was game 7. I think he scored
Yeah.
what, 2 minutes into the first
12
period,
seconds.
and I just took a
12
shot,
seconds.
and I just pressed 12 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay, and I just took the picture, and then man, I got the goal against Resch. So, but and that's the year after this,
Yep.
and people still cannot believe the price. They think it's a
$8.25.
typo. They think it's a typo. And the game
You
per
can't get a soda
season
for
were
$8.
7. So it went up $1.25 in the playoffs and the Stanley Cup Finals. So I don't know. We did live in a, thank God it was an
Different
era that
world.
we really were able. Yeah, not only that. And so I actually have to say, with family, I know one of our first ones we did about growing up Italian and everything. And, looking back now,
Oh,
you really, really feel like, oh my God. Now that's the Ferrari clan. That's your dad kneeling down, and that's their father, our
your
uncle,
mom.
our
Aunt Nana with the
grandfather,
cigarette in
my mom.
tow.
Yes, and Aunt Randy with the huge cake. Who knows what event and thing this was, but there was never a problem with the food and all that. And it's glorious times,
It was the Italian
and
way.
I just
No TV, no phones, no computers. 30
no.
people in a room talking.
And so this, I know I got a lot of reaction from this, and it just came out of 1, 2 o'clock in the morning on my phone. Now I could do this, and as a tribute, because doesn't play.
You're gonna see now The Godfather, too.
It's the music from It's the music from The Godfather. Let me try to play it. I just didn't want to play, but it's actually, they call it the immigrant song. It's when they're showing the very young Vito Corleone coming off the boat at 9 years old in New York, and they play that. That's the one that really touched me. And I used pictures of. There's only 2 pictures of one of my dad's mother. That's the one in the front, and my dad with his father, and obviously they were gone before I was even born. But then it's our grandfather and our grandparents who, came over. And it's ironic that the pictures that were on here were actually when 1960 or 61, they were going back to Italy for like a month on one of the last steamships that they had. So, there's no more steamships going cross country anymore. But yeah, it was a wonderful time. It was great. We enjoyed all that, and here we are in 2024, which it's amazing. And I have to bring it out that I know we're all over the place, but we're going to talk about our trip to Vegas. And I have to thank our friend John, my friend John, your friend John, for having me come out there a year ago, December, because I hadn't been out there in almost 30 years. And to really experience it and understand what was going on out there, I actually drove out there. It was really a heck of a nice one. But then, we all got together, and that's on the top of what? Mandalay Bay?
Mandalay Bay. One of the best views you can get.
I know. And it was a crappy night. And you can see where we stayed at the MGM, on the top right-hand corner there.
Yep.
But my friend, who has just happened to have been online and just talking about this restaurant. I said, "Oh yeah, we were there by the way," and it was a heck of a place. For one of the few places you could go for dinner, and the waiters are still in tuxedos and everything.
Yep.
And a heck of a, I would like to go back when I was feeling a lot better because, hey, I'm glad you were able to finish that for me. So it's, but yeah, this is talking because we actually talk late at night now. I'm here in California. He's back there in New Jersey, and we talk about anything. He's showing pictures about this and that. And this is how this format actually got started. I figured, hey, let's do a podcast with this. And we did the official, original ones. But our love was of sports, and we all thought we could end up playing. And we did have this league that we belonged to, and thought that,
Look
we're
at
going to
that
give it a
handsome
shot
guy
and
on
try
the
to
left.
play hockey.
God.
I know, with the long hair and the brilliant, but you even had the swagger. But you can see it in my eyes. I'm saying to myself,
I
what
should be a
the hell am I
referee.
doing? I should
Yeah.
be,
You
and
should be a
here we are on the
referee,
sideline.
and a crappy referee at that.
No, I'm not.
I'll
I
never
think
let you live
I
it
found
down.
well, yeah, if I could, I
That was
think I
fun.
actually,
That was fun though, playing in that league, and it was. I was lucky. I
I
played on a
actually thought
really
I had
good
the
team.
well, I actually thought I had a picture of me as a referee there at that game, but yeah, it's you couldn't believe you were a goalie, you were a great goalie for one of the teams, and you were slashing one of the players. And I gave you
Yeah.
2 warnings to the point of like, if you
Alleged
don't stop, I'm going to
slashing.
give you a penalty. And when I did, I know, and and I should have kicked you out of the game for, horrible talking about me, the language you gave, but I got over it. But anything is our love of sports stadiums, and so made this replica of one of the iconic ones that was had of our youth.
That
Would
is
you
a
like to have that
beautiful
somewhere in
replica
your
of
house?
Dynamax Stadium.
But look how detailed he even with the
I've
scoreboard.
always been fascinated, as you know. Yeah, I mean,
And
and
people who have
Carl,
been
you know,
watching this,
what did they call the right field wall? What
the
was the
what?
right field wall called as a nickname? The right field wall.
In Phil?
It was called the spite wall. It was put up to basically
I didn't
keep
know that.
people across the street from seeing in. Yep.
Oh, that was from that's actually before the A's. Yeah, that was like for the A's because that. Whoa, hold
Yep.
on 1 second. We have
Yeah, and
that been an earthquake. I don't
it was
know.
great. And remember, we didn't notice that the right field wall is
Yes,
gray. The wall from the Ballantyne
Vin, I hate to
beer
say
tent
this.
to
We
the
just
left,
had
the center.
Vin. Do you hear me? Vin, do you hear me?
Yeah,
I think
I
we
hear
just had a
you.
little. I think we just had a little earthquake here. The whole house rattled.
That's China. You're getting an aftershock from China.
Did you? You didn't feel that, did you?
Well,
Wow,
I'm
that was
3,000 miles
interesting.
or 2,500 miles away. Wow.
Wow. Okay.
All right, be professional. Stay
Anyway,
on topic.
yeah.
But that's a beautiful replica. That is really. I'd love to have that.
Yes, yes, it is.
I know
Anyway,
somebody has a replica of the
but this was
Ballantyne.
a
Oh
picture
my
of the
God,
real.
that's
Oh,
Eugene
hold
Levy
on.
on the right.
Here we go.
Oh
Yeah,
God, the Phillies, old time Phillies.
but that was actually that was that was the year book for 1966. So, but so moving
I
on,
belong.
we
I belong to one of these fan
uh,
clubs. It's called the 64. About 64 collapse. I belong to that. 66 wasn't a bad year, but 64, ugh, horrible.
I know it I still kind of remember it as a young kid, but growing up in Philly,
Oh
which
yeah.
we had the 4 basic food groups.
Ooh. Water ice,
The
cheesesteaks,
pizza,
hoagies, and pretzels. So, lipriz, some
but the
salt
funny thing is
pretzels.
they don't have pizza on here.
You're right
It
about
should be
that.
5.
That
Yeah.
looked like a good hoagie, though.
A hoggy.
And yeah, if you're in Philly, it's a hoagie. That's right.
Yes. So now I don't understand. I don't remember now. Did we go over? No, because yeah, wait a second. Here's that picture of me being a referee in street hockey. I'm a guy with a black hoodie.
What are you wearing? What are
in
you wearing a
pouring
slicker for? What is a
It was
referee
pouring
wearing?
rain.
Did you
Look
see
at the
them
guy
wearing
in the-
jackets? The players?
But look at the guys in the back. They had an umbrella and hats.
Oh,
Hey,
stop.
I took care of myself.
As George Costanza said, "You embarrass me, my friend. You're embarrassing me." That's a
I could
slicker.
care less. I could care less. Anyway, getting back to, I find it interesting now that looking back at our iconic movies that we all love that have a certain theme to it, and we got to know who this guy was.
Tony Soprano, James
Yeah.
Gandolfini.
We obviously got to know who this guy was.
Luca
who
Brasi.
actually was part of the he was actually put in there because of they wanted somebody authentic.
Yeah.
And one of my favorites,
Clemenza.
leave the gun,
Cannolis.
take the cannoli.
Take the cannolis, yeah.
Yes. And I'm the hunted one,
I had my chance.
most sinister looking guy. Yes. And the good old Chaz.
No, you can't leave.
Now you can't leave. But now in this present day, I find with social media, there's a new world war starting with mobsters. Now, coming from the Philly area, there's a guy, a whole bunch of guys that we all knew or people, but there's a fellow by the name of Joey Merlino, who now has a social media page along with a YouTube page. And it seems like a couple other guys that are out there trying to, well, first of all, we all know through
That's Michael Franzese.
Yeah, I want to just make sure we can see that. Michael Franzese actually is the one who's got the biggest one. He's been out there. He's got a couple, tens of millions of views. What an agent he has, and he's got a new wine thing that he's promoting, and it's crazy. But this other one that originally. Here's a bunch of guys.
There you go.
So the guy on the second to the left is Samuel Bull Gravano, who has been online also for the last 3 or 4 years. And there's Joey Merlino next to him. But this guy, the character and the guy on the left is a guy by the name of Kevin Marr. And I actually happened to have met him a couple of years ago, and I actually had him I had a text coming I had to take a look at. But I actually met him. He needed some help doing photography work, video work, and maybe some video, and to set up his YouTube page. But I ended up finding out he got a book out that was called Cop Without a Badge. But he was actually the first husband from that Danielle Staub from the Housewives in New Jersey. And that was really interesting. But he started calling out all these guys because how can you be out and not be a rat? And they're all yelling at each other and whatever. So the new online podcast, Mob Wars. So it's kind of really interesting how the world has changed from actual that, but now most of these guys that are in their retirement are, online sharing all this stuff. And I'm finding it really interesting that how, they're able to do that, but there's another story for another day, so I just find that really interesting. No comment,
it's like from Goodfellas. Remember the line was, "Don't be a rat and keep your mouth shut." And now that ain't the case anymore. But these guys are smart. They can make money based on viewership. And if you get 4 million views, you're making a loaded change doing it. So I get it. I mean, you see guys that have videos of them farting and they got 100 million views. They're going to do it because they make money off it. That's the world we live in. You got a story to tell, and these guys will get viewership because they're known. You know, in Philly, we know who Joey Merlino is. That's easy. I mean, you know, Michael Francesi is more of a New York person, but hey, they got a story to tell, and it's interesting. Hey, people will listen, and you make money that way. Hey, Carlos, did you disappear on me? Up there you go.
No, I did disappear. I had a text come in, but actually, this was New Year's Day of 2012, 2013. But the guy next to me, we all know, you know, the food guy, Tony Luke. That's actually Tony Luke. Tony Luke, we were doing some kind of promotion New Year's Day at the Philadelphia Convention Center with Joe Kalari and one of the video guys that helped produce some of the things we did. But that's the closest. Not that he was in the mob. No, I'm not saying that. He's the steak and roast pork entrepreneur. But yeah, it's interesting how it's all come around that everybody wants to get on that bandwagon. So that's why we're on here. I wonder if we're going to get anybody on to watch us, but hey, we don't know unless we get it out there. And actually, to remember when we do, I got to press this button. So yeah, if people start watching this, you like what you see, like and subscribe and comment and let us know. Now we're not live. We're taping this actually Wednesday evening and the show sometime on Thursday. But yeah, it's a passion, something I like to do, and I really wanted to get our word out here. I think people of our age really don't have a format, and it'll have its own little niche with it. And yeah, if you like,
you have to have stuff that people are interested in, and you know, you just can't blab about stuff. You have something where people go, "Oh, that's interesting," and then if they find it interesting, they start following. So you see what happens.
Well, you think we're interesting, or we're just blabbing?
Oh, I don't know. We'll
blab,
find
blab,
out.
blab.
Yeah.
Blab, blab, blab.
And we come from a Philly perspective. I mean, so hopefully people, you know, in that tri-state area can relate to certain things, and you catch it, and then you look forward to, you know, I remember a few months back, I used to watch Sunday Night Poker from Northern Jersey. I was fascinated by it because I like poker. So you try to show stuff and talk about stuff that people might like, and then they follow you. But you know, it's got to be stuff that's pertinent to other people.
Well, yeah, it's just a lot of people do a lot of talking about certain things, and the one thing I know we're going to probably do maybe a weekly here. We'll have certain subjects, but one, as we get closer to the summer and get around July, we got to talk about this specific because it'll be 39 years.
Oh yeah,
not 40.
All right,
that's July 13th, 1985. One of the most, you know, phenomenal days we ever had, and not realizing what it really turned into. But it was quite a day for us. So in the 5:30 in the morning to midnight, and there I wish we really had cameras and everything that we were able to do what we were doing backstage. But coming up and letting people know that we're going to have different subject. Maybe we'll have a specific subject on specific nights, and we could talk sports, we could talk Phillies, whatever. And we were going to talk around November about the 60th year of the Kennedy assassination.
Oh my God, yeah.
But I think that's one that we could spend a whole podcast just on that alone. And our trip to Dallas 20-some years ago really made it interesting to really be there at Dealey Plaza and actually see the X that's on the road. So it's
Well,
like
what
that's
what I say is fascinating about that is, man went to the moon, but you can't be there. You can go to Dallas and you can see the spot where Kennedy, the headshot. You're actually going to where he was, and it's fascinating. There's more than 50% of the people that believe it was a conspiracy. And I, after many decades, have realized it wasn't a conspiracy, that one person did the shooting. Now, did Oswald have people who coerced him and all? I don't know about that, but the physical evidence to me says only one person did it. So, and there's where I am, but other people, who knows? Again, I think like 60% of the population believes there was one that there was a conspiracy involved, but what that conspiracy was remains to be seen.
and obviously I take a counterpoint to that. I think it was more than just one. I don't believe, with the Spectre report and all that it made a left, made a right, did this, did that. No. And there's too many things. And just like Oswald said, I'm a patsy. And the most
The
highly
bullet didn't.
secure
Remember,
police stations
you're taking the perspective. You're taking the perspective that Oliver Stone took in his movie. And Oliver Stone said, "You got your version, I'll give you my version," but his version is wrong.
Why do you say that?
Because he made a lot of things up. Remember, he said in the movie that after the assassination, all the phone lines in Washington were cut. It's not true. He made it up.
Say that
it's a
again.
movie.
Your connection.
Oliver's-
Your connection.
After
your
the assassination, when Donald
broke up a little
Sutherland is doing that speech, on the park bench, he says the phone lines were all cut to contain information that was being let out. It never happened. He just made it up. There's a lot of things that were made up. I mean, for 30 years, I was the conspiracy geek. I said, yep, it was a conspiracy. But then at the turn of the century, the physical stuff came out, recreations, and it led you to see that based on the angles, the shots came from where they came from. They came from the rear, and the magic bullet is a magic bullet, but the single bullet theory is actually, as they say, a single bullet fact. You just disagree because you haven't done a lot of research. You're just going, I think it's a conspiracy.
No.
Yeah.
Look,
Good
I look at it this way: the most fortified police station in Dallas at the time, they just have he could just come in and just shoot Oswald like
I got
not
that.
a problem. Come on.
So
anyway, it's funny you talked about going to the moon. Go ahead.
No, we didn't. We didn't go to the moon. Remember,
Continue.
like 40% of the people believe we didn't land on the moon. I can't believe the public anymore. Everything's a conspiracy.
I'm actually I found out I'm living close to a friend that does not believe that we were there. But there are other ones though, and there's videos and certain things that are coming out now that are really interesting about how the moon got there and why it was there. But in coming up with subsequent other podcasts with Talking with Cuz and even Carl's Corner, we're going to be talking about one subject and one podcast. So what do you think? We should do Kennedy the next one, Cuz? Bringing evidence and certain things and certain factors. And where do you want to do sports?
See, I know. See, I've researched a lot more than you. For years,
Where did you research that? Where did you do your research?
I'll tell you what. When I went to Dallas one time, there was two women that were next to me, and they were talking about stuff. I said, "Look, I can give you the conspiracy outlook, and I can give you what the government says." So, I did it. I used to do high school papers on it, college papers on it. I was fascinated. I read every book on it. But after a while, it became, oh crap! You know what? When they started doing computer recreations, that's where it became, yeah, okay, one person did it. Now, are there flaws? Absolutely. the brains disappeared. What happened? I don't know, but it doesn't prove that there was more than one shooter. My point is there was one shooter. Did people pay Oswald? Hell if I know, but I do know only one person did the shooting. But did you fall asleep? Or are you looking?
No, the whole thing is running a little slow. But
Oh, okay.
I respectfully agree to disagree.
You respectfully agree. I know you should.
Yeah. So what do you
You know,
think we
the
should
cool
talk about?
thing
I know
is-
we're about.
But the cool thing is, you can take a different side of the story, and one person argues one side, person argues the other side. It's a fascinating topic.
Okay. So what do you think we should talk about the next time? This is getting back to doing our podcast, maybe once a week, maybe on a Wednesday night, schedule permitting.
Well, you're the one that you can pick a topic, and usually I can talk about it. So I leave that in your hands. Maybe pick 2 or 3 things you want to use as possible topics and go there.
Okay. We could do, the sports thing because we're coming up close to Super Bowl and, and see how that's going to work. And the one thing about this connection, I know it's running a little slow on your end. It was running a little slow on my end too, but yeah, I got you.
Well, I know we talked about the Flyers for a second, but I got a feeling in the next couple of weeks, the topic that's going to come up is this thing that is now there's 4 players that have asked for leaves of absence, and one of them being the Flyers' Carter Hart. And what it appears to be is that 2018 case where a woman alleges that there was a sexual assault, and the NHL was supposed to announce back in preseason who these 5 players were. And they held it, and it appears, Carter Hart is one of those 5 people. And if this turns out to be true, probably won't see Carter Hart playing hockey anymore. It remains to be seen. There's a long process, but
where was this allegedly supposed to have happened? Because I'm not that really familiar with it.
There aren't a lot of details. All it was 2018, I think, during like the World Juniors, that there was an assault that took place, and only now, after this investigation, is something going to happen. I mean, but in the last 2 days, you've had 4 players on that were in that have declared that they would need to be taking leaves of absence. And yesterday, the theory was, maybe it has to do with that 5 years ago. And now today, Briere pretty much said that's what it is. So
they're all lowering up.
Well,
it's a shame the way the world has turned to, and hopefully it won't be that severe. But you never know in this day and age and how things work. So, but yeah, that's our team. And ever since they took the Kate statue down, it's like I really haven't cared one way or the other. And obviously they're making a rebound, which is kind of nice. But it's not that important anymore. It used to be our life.
What was your line? Hockey was our God.
Yes, sports was our God. Just being summertime in our house, and
hockey was really the number one sport we loved.
Yeah, if I could get Sam back on and talk about this, because I think we had you saw the podcast with Sam. It was really, really good, and he's in the middle of all that, and even though he's not with the Inquirer anymore, he's still close to the team and all this other stuff, and I think. Maybe he could give us an update of that other, production about the bullies and all that's, where that is at that time, because I found out at that point the main investor had passed, and I don't know if they were be able to get any more financing for it. So, and that was the last, and that was 2019 when he was out here. We actually stayed at this phenomenal place there in Laguna Beach, right there on the water, and he was a transplanted. Actually, he was from Wilmington, Delaware, but he was a rabid sports fan and everything. I think his name was Anthony. And I guess he ended up getting sick, and he passed after the initial investment into the project. So I haven't really talked to Sam in detail about it and to see if anything's going to come out of it, because they were saying it's supposed to be fall of 24. Yeah, we'll see. So, guys, on that note, I know we're done in about 40 minutes. We brushed a couple of things. We talked about our little trip to Vegas, which was really nice. I still remember eating our McDonald's and looking at the sphere, just like this black circular grid before it was actually open. But when we were waiting for you to come in, it was on. And it was the sight to see.
It's a fascinating thing to pass by, especially at nighttime. I mean, they spent $2 billion on it, and it's worth every penny of it.
And how it evolved, it's the people from Madison Square Garden, the Dolan family, and somebody came up to them and saying, all the concerts in these arenas, and they're all hockey or basketball arenas. Why don't you build something that's specifically almost like structure like an arena, but specifically for concerts and not, like a Philharmonic Hall or like, Academy of Music. Why? So they had all these designers and whatever and came up with that. And I use that word iconic, and it cost them a ton of money. But, they have tours now. They'll make its money back and how it's eliminated. And that's why I wanted to use our opening of the countdown for 2024 with the Spirit. I just happened to be, I was home. I wasn't doing anything. I was watching a local LA channel that had a live broadcast coming from Vegas. And then mostly they were at Fremont Street. It was kind of cool. And I just go, oh my God, that's cool. And I put that other thing together. So, hey, there it is. So kind of wrapping it up. And this is Carl Condello here in California doing talking with Cuz with my dear cousin Vince Ferrari back in New Jersey. And if you do like what you've watched and read and saw, and maybe that little bump, I'll go through it again and see about that 20-minute mark. If that actually little earthquake came through, sounded like the whole place was shaking. So I haven't felt one in about 5 years. I was actually at the ballpark the last time I felt something. So, who knows? It could be one of those years. Anything saying in passing to conclude this one?
Yeah, this was a good one. It's been a while since we've done one of these sessions, and there's a lot of good stuff to talk about. And, hopefully we'll hit on stuff that people find interesting. So let's wrap it up and we'll schedule another one.
You got it. To everyone out there, do you see, Talking with Cuz will be back on Carl's Corner for, I think, Friday night with a friend of mine who's down in Nashville as a young kid, but he's got a lot of talent with a little country band. I'll be talking to him on Friday, and we'll go from there. Till next time, Cuz, I'm sure we'll be talking on the phone during the weekend, but we'll probably put something together next week. All right, buddy. Thanks.
Have a good night,
Stay
Cuz.
online.
Good night, everybody.